Welcome back to our Caterham feed. We're halfway through the ladder of success in Caterham's with the 270R. So let's go and talk to the man who won yesterday. Great news that we can talk to Carl Jones, who had his first win in this category yesterday. Congratulations on that. Tell us about your day yesterday, if you would. Could you tell us about?
It's pretty good. 7, challenged the lead, probably about half a lap through, and I thought, yeah, you know, I could probably get at the front here, and I was quite surprised I kept picking off, and I had quite a good setup actually yesterday. I was really happy with it, and so I had Stephen Lyle's in front of me, and he was being quite protective all the way around, and I just had to pick my moment, and I knew where I'd got to go, and I knew where I'd got to pick him off on the last lap, and fortunately that plan come off, so woohoo!
You got to do the same again now. It'll be a first double, I gather, if you can do it.
Got to keep the walls from the door. So I don't normally drive protectively, but with Stephen behind me, I've got to. So you know, I've just got to try and play it cool, as they say.
I was chatting to you just before the helmet on order arrived, and we were chatting to your wife as well. It's very much a family sport, isn't it? Caterham provides a lovely family atmosphere for all levels.
100%, yeah, fantastic. And like Caterham say, you know, when you start with the academy and everything, they say you'll make friends and all that, and you think, yeah, that's, you know, it's a bit of sales banter, but you truly do. You know, I've got loads of new friends, and it's, you know, it's all family orientated. It's fantastic. Yeah, hats off Caterham, seriously.
And for you, a win. Brands Hatch is still an iconic name. Not had a Grand Prix for a while, but people know when you say I won at Brands Hatch, people know what you're talking about. So you've had that, and now here you are ready to go out for pole position at Brands Hatch, having earned that yesterday. How do you feel?
Nervous. And I'd absolutely adore. Tough call, but yeah, let's see. You know, I got the oldest 270 race winner cap yesterday as well.
Oh, congratulations.
Knocking Graham McDonald, the CEO of Caterham, off the perch, which he wasn't too happy with. But yeah, and I just said if I do it again today, I'll get it twice. So
that'd be mega. Carl, thanks for chatting to us. We'll let you get on with it. Good luck for the race.
Thank you
nice
very much.
To meet you. Thank you very much. Carl Jones, and that name also Carl Jones, synonymous with Brands Hatch. There was a Carl Jones that raced in Formula 4, son of the late great commentator Brian Jones, and Franklin de Carl Jones, who of course went up through the ranks into British touring cars. I'm going to see if I can have a quick word with Stephen Lyle, waiting for the whistle or the klaxon to go. Stephen Lyle, if I may have a quick word, looking forward to another race with Carl.
Yeah, no, it was a good one yesterday. It was all nice and clean, and we just got to have a bit more luck on our side this time.
What went wrong yesterday?
Oh, I didn't think it through. I never thought about the run out of clearways, but I was too busy defending going in, got a bad run out, and then obviously Carl drove alongside. But yeah, I should have just took my line and got a better run out of there, but hey, it's all lessons. Carry them lessons forward into the next one.
It's one thing for me as a fairly long in the tooth commentator that I've enjoyed about Caterham racing for many years, is that you can still race these cars, you can still pass each other, repass each other and overtake, racing by very definition. And for you drivers, that teaches you track craft, racecraft and technique, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, driving one of these, you need eyes in the back of your head, side of your head, the lot. But there's always somebody alongside you.
Whistle's gone, I've got to let you go. Good luck for the race, Stephen. Thanks for talking to me. So Stephen Lyle there, Carl Jones on pole position. That's your front row. The rest of the grid is in the gift of our race commentator, Scott Woodwist. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, good to see our front row men ready and raring to go, as are the rest of the Motor Caterham 7 270R Championship contenders who now leave assembly and make their way around towards the grid for this second race. Now, if you watched yesterday's, if you didn't catch it, it was a pretty thrilling finish where Stephen Lyle almost had the victory. It looked like it was in the bag, but then again, I foolishly forgot that in Caterham racing, the last place that you really want to be, ironically, the worst place, is in the lead, last corner, last lap, when you've got someone right behind you, because in that situation, there's no guarantee that you'll stay in the lead when you exit the last corner by the time you get to the start and finish line. That didn't happen in terms of Stephen Lyle staying in front, because Carl Jones just beat him to the flag by 31 thousandths of a second. It was an absolute steal at the line by Carl Jones, so he picked up his first win. I'm sure he was delighted by that. Stephen Lyle would have been gutted, but even so, it was a personal best finish for him, picking up second place, and he will certainly want revenge for this afternoon. cars behind also to watch out for. Wes Payne had an amazing time in the Estes race. He started back in that first race all the way back towards the rear of the field in 19th place, but he charged his way through to what was an amazing podium place in 3rd. He was so close to even getting a victory. He was in the mix there in the front of that pack, including, as was also Blair McConaughey, who came into the weekend leading the points, and Dan Clayfan, who starts in 5th position as well. The top 5 cars were covered by, get this, 0.8 of a second. That's how close it was at the front of the field. It was a really thrilling finish to that first Motul Caterham 7270R Championship race. That's the first 5 cars on the grid, because the grid is set by the results from race 1. So where you finished in race 1 is where you then start in race 2. So as a reminder, Carl Jones then in the predominantly black Caterham with the green roll cage on the left hand side, he will start from pole position. The grey and orange car of Stephen Lyle will be alongside him on the front row. The kind of pink and blue pearlescent effect Wes Payne car of number 38 will start 3rd, alongside the white car with the black nose. That is points leader Blair McConaughey in 4th. The black and orange in 5th position is Dan Clayfan. And I think we can give you the rest of the grid on the screen in just a moment. So as they head off on their formation lap then for this second Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship race, let's see if we can give you the rest of it. We've gone up to our first few cars. Here it is. So, Carl Jones and Stephen Lyle on the front row of the grid. Jones on pole, Lyle alongside him. Wes Payne and Blair McConaughey then come next on the second row. Row 3 then is then Dan Clayfan. Alongside him is Darrell Cresswell, having one of his better races of the season so far yesterday in 6th. Row 4 sees Peter Wales and Fraser Jones make up on 7th and 8th places on the grid, alongside David Morgan in 9th and William Brunt rounding out the top 10. Then on row 6, it is then Alan Curtis, and the man who has the surname McLean, we don't have a first name for him, so all we have is the surname McLean. There he is on 12th on the grid. Row 7 then sees Tim Steele in car number 53. He will start alongside Roger Gaunt in car number 30. In fact, let's slightly amended grid, I think, possibly because of the some penalties or such. Let's have a quick look. So we've got, it's Herndon and Steele. Gaunt is set starting 15th. Then Harry Ayres alongside him. Now, Harry will be one to watch from 16th, because he was in there trying to pick his way through from the back of the field or deep in the pack, but didn't quite have the best of fortunes when he had the spin at Paddock Hill Bend. So he'll be coming back through from the 8th row. Duncan Cook and Paul Farrell come next from row 9. Michael Curley and John Cox round out the top 20. And then the last few cars on the grid will be Oliver Smith and Stephen Hutchinson on the 11th row of the grid. 21st and 22nd. Then it's Richard Hoare and Ryan Errol, who will start from the 24th position on the 12th row of the grid. And at the very back, it's the orange Caterham of car number 2, Demetrius Melas, who will have some work to do from right at the very back. It says unknown competitor, but I can tell you it is in fact Demetrius Melas on the 25th position on the grid, on my grid sheet in front of me. So, first few rows of the grid are in position. It is a half an hour race, so half an hour in Caterham is quite physical work for these guys, but given the fact these guys will have been through the academy and through the road sports, will have had 15 or 20 minute races. For the half an hour races, this will be quite a test. I think we were expected to have Demetrius Melas, but his orange Caterham is not at the back of the field, sadly, so he will be a non-starter. So, all set for the second Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship race. Will it be as a thrilling conclusion as it was in race 1? Let's find out. Red lights are on. They come at any second now. And it's a decent start from pole, but what a start from Blair McConaughey. He is rocket propelled from the second row of the grid, and he charges into a lead by the time they get to paddock. What a start from the championship leader. Into paddock they turn. McConaughey leads it. Poleman Jones in second place. Wes Payne is up to 3rd already, but a terrible start for Stephen Lyle. He's either 4th or 5th. No, he's not even 4th or 5th. He comes into the right-hander. He's 5th. He's behind, looks like that's Fraser Jones in car 14. Yeah, Fraser Jones, who started 8th. So 8th on the grid. Oh, and there's contact behind. There was a car off on the inside of Druids there for a second. Trying to catch who it was. It was down the hill. But even so, the field picks its way through Graham Hill Bend for the first time, down the back straight and towards Surtees. They go, and it's Blair McConaughey, championship leader, in the lead. It's then Carl Jones in 2nd, Wes Payne in 3rd, Fraser Jones is 4th, and then in 5th position from the front row of the grid, Stephen Lyle's got it all to do now at the base of the top 5. Watch for Harry Ayres also. He's in the Team Lotus coloured car. That's the British Racing green car with the yellow stripe, a la the Lotus 49 back in the day. He started 16th. He's got some work to do from deep in the pack. Cross the line, the leaders go side by side. The 4th position, it's now Fraser Jones on the inside with Stephen Lyle trying to get the undercut to make up the places he lost at the start. As they come back through paddock, up Halewood Hill, back towards Druids for the second time. And with the leaders, it's going to be Blair McConaughey under threat from Carl Jones already, who's trying the outside line. There's Stephen Lyle. He's under threat also from Dan Clayfan. And also watch for Darrell Cresswell. He's in the white, blue and pink car. That is car number 8. He is in 7th position. And then 8th place is car 51, which is fast. I think it's car, is it 51 or 52? 52 would be Peter Wales. I think he's made a decent start up at night. Tim Steele is in there. No, that was car 61, I think. Sorry, I thought it was 50. It's 61, which is McLean. So McLean's made a decent start from 12th. He's now up to 8th, up 4 spots from where he was. And the timing screen, my timing screen is working again for this race, which it's not. So I have to rely on the timing tower on the left-hand side. Side by side between the battle for 4th, as this time on the inside line goes Stephen Lyle, and he's up another place back from where he lost on the opening lap. Now he's got a task to catch the top 3 who are in their own little contest. If you can bring Fraser Jones and co into the mix, you might want to have a decent time of it, but he turns his way in just to car a little oversteerage just to try and rotate it through the corner a little bit better. Here are our top 3 who are already on their 3rd lap of racing. As I say, I think we've had a reduced time of racing because it's now 25 minutes rather than 30 to get ourselves back on time. So, because of a late start due to the delays getting the restart for the Track Attack Race Club underway. So, 25-minute race for these guys rather than the full 30. But still plenty of time for these guys to have quite a fight out there. McConaughey, Jones and Payne keeping close to one another as they hug the inside line nearer the pit wall on the pit straight. 4th place now for Stephen Lyle, 5th for Fraser Jones, but he's under threat from Dan Clayfan in the black and orange car. There he goes. Car 73 trying to make the move. Dummies one way, looks the other, can't make it work. Tim Steele sets the fastest lap of the race with a 54 second lap time. Now as they come back towards the top of the hill, here's our leaders with Wes Payne trying to get involved. Everyone's a little bit line astern at the moment. No one's going for a move just yet. They're all just settling into their race now in the first few laps, getting those tyres fully up to temperature and getting the brakes and everything else warmed up so they can properly push on. Further back there is car 61. That's McLean having a scrap with the 52 of, that's Peter Wales. And also in there too appears to be Alan Curtis in there too. So he's going to try and make up some positions. Curtis back in 11th place ahead of Roger Gaunt, William Brunt, Ryan Errol and Paul Herndon back in 15th place. So there goes the pack. Stephen Lyle trying to escape from this battle for 5th position. Clayfan wants to get the position. He'll go wheel to wheel with Fraser Jones down towards Paddock Hill Bend. And look at that. Round the outside, sweeps in front and hits the brakes before they've even got to turn 1. He's in front with a nice, neat move on the outside line. It's not an easy move to make, but that's impressive stuff from Dan to squeeze past. There goes our leaders. The Wes Payne in that pearlescent number 38 car. It's a striking colour choice on that car, rather than being a striking livery. It's a striking colour they've painted the whole car. So if he gets the incidents, there must be a nightmare to repaint and reskin. So Wes Payne's probably going to try and keep that car as clean as possible, I imagine. Leaders back through Surtees once again for another lap. And Stephen Lyle's broken away from that scrap battle of 5th. He's now trying to close in as quick as possible to Stephen Lyle. So they head out now through Clark Curve again. And thankfully, we were experiencing before some intermittent weather conditions throughout yesterday. They seem to have abated a little bit today, but there is still some grey clouds hanging around. There goes Tim Steele after he set the fast lap of the race previously. He is under threat, putting Fraser Jones under threat. And then there's Darryl Cresswell, and I think there was a bit of contact. The right rear wing has got some damage on the rear of Fraser Jones's car. There was a little nibble there from Tim Steele as he tries to pick up another position. They're having a great run, this Tim. He's having one of his strongest weekends that I've seen him do in recent times. So he's currently up there in 7th place, and as I say, briefly held the fastest lap of the race. He's closing up for the top 3. Stephen Lyle is also using the clear air around him to try and close in. So if they come back in through Clark Curve, once out through Clearways and Clark Curve again, top 3 as they were line astern. Just Carl Jones keeping a watching brief. Wes Payne with the fastest lap of the race now, 54.526, nearly 80 miles an hour average speed around here. And this is now the time that Carl Jones, he spent a few minutes sitting at the rear of Blair McConaughey's car. Now he's going to try and have a look to see if he can pinch his lead back that he lost from the start of the race. It was a rocket start from Blair McConaughey off the line. Got a brilliant launch from the outside of the grid. And I have said a few times before previously that the outside of the front of the circuit, the outside rows and the first few rows on the circuit, on the start and finish line, tend to be the more favoured place, because ironically, yes, you're on pole position, but if you're on the inside part of the pit straight at Brands Hatch, it's on a slight tilt, whereas the the tarmac that you've got for the front row of the grid on the left-hand side for second place is a flatter piece of tarmac, and therefore it's better to get it's a better place to start from in order to get a stronger bite off the line. That's exactly what Blair McConaughey had. He started on the flatter part of the tarmac and got the perfect launch to get himself back to the front of the field. So McConaughey then continuing to hold the lead. And we're coming up to, gone past now about 7.5 minutes, so as the race carries on. Just continuing to watch the top three as they run. Stephen Lyle, I'm just intrigued by how much he's trying to close in here, the gap. Still, Dan Clayfan's really pulled away in 5th position now. 6th is Tim Steele, who's got past Fraser Jones. 8th is now Darrell Cresswell. McLean is 9th. Peter Wells is 10th. There's the battle going on between both Fraser Jones and Cresswell. Cresswell looking round the outside into Surtees, and he's got it. Good move from Darrell. Squeezes through into another position, up to 7th. It's now the fight for 9th and 10th. And oh dear, that Fraser Jones's car, that will be the legacy of the contact he had with Tim Steele. That right rear wing is working itself loose. That's not engine smoke, that's simply tyre smoke. The right rear wing is rubbing on the tyre, and I hope it's not going to work itself into a point where it starts cutting into the tyre and causing problems, because if it does, it might not be such a great situation for Fraser Jones. I hope it sorts itself out, because sometimes it can sort of wear itself away a little bit of the bodywork. So there goes Tim Steele. Cresswell in pursuit now. Now he's back in what is now currently 7th position. And Fraser Jones with that rubbing bodywork, he's starting to fall back there. It finally flies off, so it solved it. So the problem solved itself. So thankfully he hasn't got to get a black and orange flag by the clerk of the course to bring himself for a car that's mechanically unsafe. Oh, another piece of bodywork coming off. That's Ryan Errol's car, I think, trying to strip a little bit. So that car is losing its. I think it's see what Fraser Jones had and thinks, right. No, actually, either that or is that the piece of bodywork that's come off Fraser Jones's car that's hanging off Ryan Errol, I think. It might well be, or it's simply just it is the right rear piece of body wing on Ryan Errol's car that's coming off. Either way. No, I think it is the piece of bodywork. I think it's. I can't quite tell what it is. It might be the fabric sort of door, so to speak, that's on that car that's coming off. You can see that there is. You can see the exposed arms of the drive, where they usually have a fabric sort of door sort of cover just on the side on the driver's side to prevent their arms from moving, to keep them safe as possible. I think that's come loose and it's now sort of flapping around a little bit. So either that hopefully sorts itself out, or he might get a mechanical flag, unfortunately. But he's now going to try and press on with the potential move on Fraser Jones, who is one wing lighter on his number 14 car. There is Ryan, started towards the back of the grid after his problems in race 1 earlier. And there's the piece of bodywork that flew off in Fraser Jones in question. So that's now on the exit there. Oh, car 69 stopped. So that's Stephen Hutchinson who's come to a halt there, and he's also lost a left rear wing. So I suspect the Caterham Parts Department are kind of rubbing their hands a little bit. They're going to get some extra orders, I think, over this week between now and Croft. So that'll certainly be helping them out. There go our rest of our top 10 as they head down out of the hairpin of Druids. It's now McLean who's got ahead of Fraser Jones. So Fraser's slipping further back now. Back with those cars we were looking at just a moment ago. And McLean, who, again, he's got a novice cross on the back. So this is his first few races. He's certainly showing that he's got some prowess at the wheel of this 270R race car. Fraser Jones has remained in front of McLean, so as they turn in out through clearways and into Clark Curve again, he'll have another chance to make it through. The leaders are still as they were, McConaughey, Jones and Payne. No change there. Stephen Lyle has also maintained 4th place. I'm just looking out the window, watching as we see our on camera here, Fraser Jones battling with McLean and Errol. And that Fraser Jones has got past McLean now. Blair McConaughey's pulled away slightly from the battle of a second between Jones and Wes Payne. We're looking still here at Dan Clayfan, followed by then Tim Steele, and also going with him is Darrell Cresswell. Then we have our next group, which is now headed by Fraser Jones. No, it is Dan Clay. It's who's that? It's McLean. Oh, it's Peter Wales who's got past. So Peter Wales has got through. So Peter Wales has passed McLean. Then it's Fraser Jones. Then it's McLean. Then it's Errol. And then we've got Alan Curtis, followed by William Brunt. So it's all changing around in the sort of mid-pack at the moment in this Caterham 270R race. Alan Curtis has managed to slot in behind Ryan Errol. I think that fabric door on the side, whatever that piece of bodywork is still there, and that was Ryan Elwood trying to get a small toe from the rear of the car. There is Blair McConaughey, who continues to lead. So the gap between them is, I think it looks like a couple of seconds. I'm just trying to make sure I've got a timing screen again, because even though you can see the timing on the left-hand side, the timing that I have available to me on the TSL timing website appears to be being rather intermittent and stuck on a result from a previous race. So at the moment, I'm only going by what I can see here. What I can see is a move for second place. So Wes Payne's gone through. So Wes Payne's up into second place now, past Carl Jones, and my timing is now working, thankfully, so I can give you some proper lap times in terms of where we are. So the gap is now at the moment, it looks like. It was 0.6 of a second. It's more than that this time. We've completed 10 laps. We're now on to what should be I was hoping lap 11, but it looks as though, unfortunately, this timing screen's also frozen as well. So we'll come back to that in a second. We'll just look at what we've got on the screen to keep us going. So Wes Payne is second then. Carl Jones is down to third. And Stephen Lyle has steadily brought himself back into contention here. He's managed to pick his way up back into the tail of the top three. As McConaughey starts to escape, it's now second, third and fourth that are locked in for this main battle at the front. Wes Payne would love to get himself a decent result. Got third yesterday. Would love to be second or higher if possible. As they make their way back towards Surtees down the Cooper Straight, McConaughey is just taking all the curb he needs to on the inside line to maintain his advantage. Now back onto Clark curve again, and now down the pit straight. So McConaughey still leads the way, second, third and fourth together. There's Carl Jones in the black and green machine, number 11. Lap time wise, the fastest man out of the three of them, or out of the top four, was Wes Payne. He was 3/10 faster than Blair McConaughey. So he is now starting to try and reel him in steadily. And how great would it be for Wes Payne to pick up a victory? If I remember correctly, he did pick one up, if I'm right, at Snetterton last year in the road sport category. So he has been a front runner for quite a while before. He had a great scrap at the front of the field last year when he was battling away with, if I'm correct, I think it was both Tom Willis and Blair McConaughey. He had a really good battle between the three of them at the front of the field, but now trying to close in, and he is visibly starting to get closer. Here comes Stephen Lyle with a dive up the inside into the right-hander. Oh, and either there was contact or Carl Jones really had to turn out of that at the last minute because he didn't realise that Stephen Lyle was that far enough alongside to make a dive. So he was so focused aiming towards the apex, he went to go and turn in, found Lyle's car right there, quickly turned back out of it, and whilst he has lost out on the run to Exton Clark curve, he tries to come back at him into Paddock Hill Bend, but Stephen Lyle has got it covered. Oh, but he slivers wide and puts two wheels onto the gravel, and back through goes Carl Jones. That was an easy pass to get back through, and so Stephen Lyle was a bit too over-enthusiastic on the throttle exiting the corner and just drifted wide, and that just allowed Carl Jones to carry the momentum all the way down the hill, up Halewood Hill and back into Druids again to start to continue another lap, still in third position. As with our leaders, you see Wes Payne there's pulled away from this scrap for third. He's now trying his best to close in on McConaughey. Again, would love to give us the gap between McConaughey and Payne, but again, my timing screen is still having intermittent problems, so apologies for that. Here comes another scrap which is further back. This is including 40 and 30, so Paul Farrell's in here. Also, so it is the 13. That's Duncan Cook is in the mix of this as well. We've also got the nice rider Michael Curley. So this is Curley with Farrell. And then in there too, who said is the 13 of Duncan Cook is in there as well. Also possibly might be the 71 of Oliver Smith in there as well. So up down the pit straight they go, and it's actually it's the 13 of it's Smith in that battle. So this is Curley, Farrell, Cooper, and Smith, and they're scrapping over 18th down to 21st position at this point. So heading up towards Druids, and Duncan Cook, who coming into this weekend hadn't scored in a race more than 7 points, and that was in the first race at Knock Hill, so he's got to try and make some more progress climbing back up the ladder. Currently sat at the moment when he came across the line, he was quite far at the field, or just a little bit further forward. Some more cars that are a bit further back actually, some more cars that are battling away. This is now car 30, which is Roger Gaunt. He's battling away, I think it looks like William Brunt in car 88. So their battle's continuing on. In fact, this is further ahead. So this is then Gaunt, Brunt. We've also got Cox in here in the 31. That would be John Cox. Oh, and sideways and off the road goes Roger Gaunt all over the curb at Paddock Hill Bend. Backwards into the gravel. Now, can he wheel it back out? Will he be stuck in there? He doesn't want to spin his wheels. That will certainly be yellow flags down at Paddock Hill Bend for sure. If you can get it going again, that'd be quite impressive. I'm just looking out the windows and see our leaders come through. Surtees and then McLaren Clearways and then Clark Curve. He hasn't got going again yet. I don't know if he's stuck in the gravel or if he's stalled the engine. Either way, that may well throw in a late safety car here. Well, I say late, with 8.5 minutes to go, but it's certainly going to close things up for the last few minutes of the race. Leaders are approaching into Paddock Hill Bend. Roger Gaunt's car is still there. That must be a really nerve-wracking moment there to watch Caterham's coming near your direction at full speed when you're having to be forcibly parked in the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend. Safety car has been deployed. So with 8 minutes to go, the pack will now close back up again behind the safety car. And this means that the advantage that Blair McConaughey had gets eradicated. It brings Wes Payne into play. But it also now, that Stephen Lyle's got ahead of Carl Jones a few laps ago, it now also brings both Lyle and Jones back into the mix. This should be very interesting. So, safety car deployed at Brands Hatch to recover Duncan Cook's car. That was a very similar loss of control to that which Graham McDonald had in the 7 UK race, the first one yesterday, where he approached the corner, must have either just braked at the wrong place or hit a bump. Either way, just unsettled the car in the wrong place. Thankfully, he didn't hit anything. There was no touch of the barriers, no touch of any other car, thankfully. He went riding all over the curbs on the inside line. They managed to push his car back out, so that car's not even pushed back out. I think, are they going to push him back towards the barrier, or is that him done for... There, we'll be able to get barrier going again. No, they're going to push his car backwards. So this might actually be quite a short safety car, because Roger Gaunt's car is being pushed pretty quickly towards the infield, right up against the barrier on the inside grass on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend at the bottom of the hill. So that means I don't think that the safety car will be out for very long. Maybe a lap at a stretch, maybe even two, because Roger Gaunt's car, well, he and the car probably are A-OK mechanically. I think the fact he stalled it and can't get it properly restarted means that we are going to have to at least complete one lap behind the safety car. So off takes the safety car, and it now catches up with the leading pack, headed by Blair McConaughey, and this will now make it a very intense and intriguing final few minutes of this Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship race. So let's take stock of the order then. Blair McConaughey leads, whereas Payne is second, Stephen Lyle is third, Carl Jones is fourth, Dan Clayfan fifth, Darryl Cresswell is sixth, Tim Steele 7th, Peter Wales 8th, Harry Ayres up to 9th. We haven't really spoken about Harry Ayres at all. He started back in 16th on the grid. He's climbed his way back up steadily into 9th, so he's done pretty well given the circumstances. 10th is Ryan Errol, 11th is McLean, 12th is Alan Curtis, 13th is Fraser Jones, so the damage he had earlier really has slowed him down quite a bit. 14th place is William Brunt, 15th is John Cox, and then the rest of the order looks like Morgan, Curley, Farrell, Cooper and Smith rounding out the top 20. Now thankfully my timing screen appears to have jumped back into life, so we have now got a up-to-date timing screen including up-to-date times, thankfully, so we can hopefully that will keep for the rest of the race. 5.5 minutes left to go. I would imagine that we will get racing, I would have thought, underway back again in this lap, because the danger at Paddock Hill Bend, that being Roger Gaunt's stricken car, has been removed. So let's see if the safety car lights are already out after one lap, and they are. So we're going to get a 5-minute sprint finish in this Motul Caterham 7 270R Championship race, with championship leader Blair McConaughey at the head of the pack, but with the likes of Wes Payne, Stephen Lyle, Carl Jones and co behind, looking to try and take full advantage. So now, with the safety car making its way back into pit lane, once again, the leader of the pack becomes the safety car. He now chooses when he wants to restart, so the restart is in the hands of Blair McConaughey. When does he decide to put foot to the floor and to restart? He's gone now, right on the exit of Clearway. Well, no, he hasn't, just quite yet. He's waiting, still waiting, hasn't gone yet. Still waiting, still side by side. Everyone's stacking up behind him. Now he's gone, right on the last little weave up beside. It's a very late restart. One of the latest ones I've seen in a while on safety cars. Oh, and contact! Wes Payne hit in the back by, that was Stephen Lyle. Off into the gravel trap they go. And I'm not sure if that was a consequence of the restart, but off into the barriers has gone Stephen Lyle. He seems to be moving, so hopefully he's okay. Wes Payne's off the road. That is not the conclusion to this race we wanted to see. There's more action going on. Harry Ayres goes through. That is going to have to be, with that, not with the time we've got left, it might well be a safety car again, if not possibly a red flag. The safety car is back on standby again. Red flag, race has been stopped. And there's more contact in the background up at Graham Hill Bend. It's off camera. There's a car that's gone off just on the exit of Graham Hill Bend that's made contact, but That's not the finish we wanted to see, I'm afraid, particularly with the two contenders in the mix. That was a really unfortunate. Stephen Lyle into the back of Wes Payne. I don't know if that was a misjudgment as a result of the late restart or just simply Stephen Lyle just missing his braking point and clipping the back of Wes Payne's car. Either way, it has taken out two of the drivers that would have been in the mix for that victory. And of course, immediately to make sure that everyone is okay, both the recovery units and the marshals are on the scene. It looks like both drivers are out of the car. You can see the two white crash helmets just behind the barrier there, so it looks as though the best possible news initially is that both drivers appear to be out talking and initially on the surface are okay. They have got the rescue unit down there with a couple of medical personnel down there as well. Again, they will head to the medical centre purely as a precaution to make sure that that's not just on the surface but on the whole they are totally okay from that. Well, a disappointing end to that race, but it means that on the red flag, one consolation for Wes Payne and Stephen Lyle is they'll still be on the podium because Blair McConaughey wins, and as a result of red flagging it before even completing a lap from the restart, it means Wes Payne will take second, Stephen Lyle will take third, then Carl Jones and Dan Clayfan round out the top five, and Darryl Cresswell, Tim Steele, Peter Wells, Harry Eyre ninth, and Riley Elwell rounds out the top 10. McLean finishes 11th from Alan Curtis 12th, then Fraser Jones, William Brunt, John Cox, David Morgan, Michael Curley, Paul Farrell, Duncan Cook and Oliver Smith rounds out the top 20 finishes, and then Richard Hoare, Stephen Hutchison and Paul Herndon in the 23rd position, with Roger Gaunt the only non-finisher after he had that spin into the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend that brought out the very brief safety car for one lap. So that's Caterham Racing Action taking another pause. Thank you for watching if you're watching on the Caterham stream.